Hi, this is Jason Nickleby, Assistant Director with the Minnesota State High School League, and this is basketball officiating training tape number 2. Again, we're doing these tapes in smaller chunks, 4 to 5 plays, talk about mechanics, positioning, philosophy, rules, application, and how do we meld all of those together to have a solid game. So, using these in your pregame, looking through the quizzes, the play situations on Ref Masters, I think will really help us as we get into the holiday season. So, with that, we're going to take a look at 4 more plays today. Not picking on anyone official or crew, player or team. Again, just trying to learn from these as we move forward with the season. So, with that, let's take a look at the plays. Okay, I want to talk about primary coverage area and initial responsibility for ruling on particular plays. So remember that when we're in the front court, unless it's contact involving a secondary defender, in which case we would have the lead take the entire paint. If it's not, we're going to draw a line right down the middle of the paint, and everything to the lead side is going to be the lead, and everything to the other side is going to be the center. And in the case of the line of demarcation between the trail and the lead, we're going to draw a line from the elbow all the way down to the 3-point line on the end line. Anything inside of there, the primary responsibility for ruling on that is going to be the lead. So you see in this case, we have a dribble drive down the lane line. There's contact that's made with the shooter about halfway down the lane line in the paint, and we have a foul called by the trail. Anytime a dribbler is going away from us as the trail, we just need to let it go. This is lead's responsibility. If we're calling this as an N1, which is correct, uh, then it's for sure out of our primary. If we're saying the contact occurred out near the 3-point line, then in that case, totally would understand if the trail would take it. But when it's going away from us on this, this is the lead's play. We need to trust that the lead will get it. And just remember our primary responsibilities, and trusting our partner is really, really important. Again, this is a foul. It is an N1. I'm good with all that. It just needs to come from the proper official. In this case, it's the lead when we have contact at this area of the court. Okay, in this one we're going to talk restricted area blocking fouls. So you see we have a drive down the paint, and we're going to have contact um, involving a secondary defender, and we're going to have an outstanding call and outstanding mechanics by the lead to have a restricted area blocking foul. So um, with the restricted area, secondary defenders can establish legal guarding position inside the restricted area, but in order to get a charge, they need to rise vertically, or they need to get out of the restricted area at the time of contact. So if they're grounded and contact is made with them, even if they're in legal guardian position, that is a restricted area blocking foul. If it's going to be a blocking foul, regardless of whether the restricted arc is there or not. So for example, they never establish legal guardian position at all, then it's like the arc isn't even there, and we're not going to use the restricted area blocking foul mechanic, which is to point to the restricted area. In this case, the defender gets there in time, so no problem there, has 2 feet on the ground facing his opponent, but he establishes his initial legal guarding position in the restricted area, and he is grounded at the time of contact. Therefore, this is a restricted area blocking foul and is handled extremely well by the lead. Now, remember, when there's contact involving a secondary defender in the paint, the primary official for ruling on that is the lead. So this is involving a secondary defender. So this is the lead's play all the way. Center, you need to stay off of this play. Now, I'm glad that we just posted and held our signal, because if we have another signal, we're in trouble, but we can get out of it when we don't make an initial signal. But this is leads play all the way. It's secondary defender contact in the paint. The lead should get it. The lead did. Even if you think this is a flop, there is contact eventually, and either way, it's a blocking foul, but it's for sure a restricted area blocking foul. Notice the lead signals the foul, block, points at the restricted area, and then we're going to have a successful goal in this case. So center or trail, you're going to need to come to the lead if they don't count the basket at the spot and say that the ball went in the basket. Just say the ball went in. After that, the lead can make the determination of scoring the basket and so on. Don't come in and say the basket is good. We're shooting one shot. That is a determination that the lead needs to make. So just come to them and say the ball went in, and then they can take it from there. But restricted area rules, make sure we review those. They can establish initial legal guarding position in the restricted area, but they need to rise vertically or get out and establish legal guarding position again in order to take a charge. In this case, establishes initial legal guarding position in the restricted area and is properly called for a restricted area blocking foul. Excellent. Okay, on this one, front court mechanics and coverage. So we're going to have a dribble drive here down the lane line. The trail is going to get into good position and move beneath the 28-foot mark to see space, which is excellent. This is what we should do. And then we're stationary as the drive continues towards the basket. That's all excellent. However, just like on one of the previous plays, unless it's contact involving a secondary defender, we're going to be in our three primary coverage areas in the front court, and this contact is clearly in the area of the lead's responsibility. So, trail, once this goes away from you, you need to leave it. This is the lead's play. It's definitely a foul, definitely should be shooting free throws, but this needs to come from lead. So, if you've seen a theme in the first three plays, it's we need to officiate as hard as we can in our primary and trust our partners to do the same in their primaries. We're going to get muskies in our own pond, not go searching for perches in somebody else's pond. This is a perch in somebody else's pond. Definitely a foul, but one we need to just leave it go when it goes away from us from trail. This is leads play. Let's trust them to get it. If they don't, then they can make an explanation to the coach about why they didn't call that particular foul if need be. But we're not going to go searching for calls in other people's primaries. Good mechanics, good position adjust, but then we need to let this one go. Okay, on this last one, we're going to come down and transition. We're going to dump the ball in the paint, and you're going to see the post player who receives the pass. He's going to establish a pivot foot, but then he's going to jump in the air backwards without dribbling. So this really should be a traveling violation, and it'd be something that the center should pick up. As we're coming down in transition. You see the lead is trying to talk to this defensive player about being vertical and being straight up and legal and so on. And that's good. We want to use our voice to try to talk them out as things as much as possible. But at the same time, if there's fouls that occur or violations, we do need to get those. Um, in this case, it appears again that the dribbler or the post player rather doesn't dribble, hops backwards, and probably commits a traveling violation. And really, the C should pick this up. And then, secondly, with the flop rule in place, there there's not going to be as many no calls as we used to have. We used to no call a lot of these types of plays, but now when there's significant displacement that occurs or appears to occur, it has to be an offensive foul, a block, or a flop. We can't have this much displacement with nothing. So I would say that the defensive player has legal guarding position and this offensive player plays through his chest, and this should be an offensive foul. And it's one that is a primary matchup. So, yes, we're drawing a line down the middle of the paint, but because it's pretty much in the lead's lap, this should be the leads play, and we should have an offensive foul. Typically, when an offensive player plays through the chest of a defensive player, if their momentum continues their body forward, like you see here, that typically means that they've gone through the chest of this player. If they kind of maintain their position without moving forward, typically that's probably a flop, because if there was actual contact with the offensive player, then the offensive player would have been displaced a little bit as well. But if they stay stationary, it's typically a flop. In this case, he moves his body forward, and that's from the momentum of him initiating contact into the legal defensive player. So, to recap, anytime we have significant displacing type contact, there has to be an offensive foul, a block, or a flop. We can't no call plays where players are going flying to the ground. There has to be a reason for them going to the ground. And it's one of those three things 95% of the time. So let's get them for this, for an offensive foul or a flop or a block, something. There has to be something when there's displacing contact like this, and then let's have the primary ruling official pick that up. Okay, that will do it for training tape number 2. Again, watching these tapes on the Arbiter's Eligibility tab on the Central Hub. Watch them by January 25th to be eligible for a state tournament assignment. We will place them on the RefMasters app so that you can review them for later, but to get credit, you do need to watch them on Arbiter. So the theme here, primary coverage area, trusting our partner, some flop offensive foul considerations, and then also restricted area and legal guarding position. So a couple good topics to talk about in your pre-games this week.